I want you to feel this in your soul, because what I'm about to share is not just words, it's a truth that burns like fire inside every heart that has ever been taken for granted. There comes a moment in life when someone who runs from connection, who avoids intimacy, who refuses to meet you where your heart is, finally realizes what they've lost. But here's the thing, they don't realize it while you're still standing there. They realize it when your energy, your light, your presence, the essence of who you are, has moved forward. Permanently. Think about it for a moment. You cannot be trapped in someone's avoidance forever. You cannot shrink, diminish, or hide parts of yourself to accommodate fear. Because fear is temporary, but your value, your worth, that is eternal. And when someone refuses to see it, they are making a choice, not you. And here's the divine truth. The cost of running is always the same. You cannot escape life. You cannot escape the law of sowing and reaping. When they run, when they avoid, the universe patiently waits. And when you finally step fully into your own power, fully into your purpose, fully into the life that demands your presence and integrity, the moment comes. The moment when they look around and you are gone, permanently, and in that moment they feel the weight of their choice. The doors they closed, the conversations they refused, the love they ran from, they all converge. It's not punishment. It's natural consequence. Because when someone avoids, they trade temporary comfort for permanent absence. But let me be clear, this is not about bitterness. This is about empowerment. This is about knowing your worth, living your truth, and refusing to wait for someone who cannot rise to meet you. Pain will teach you lessons. Loss will sculpt you into strength. And your life, your magnificent life, will continue. And it will shine brighter than ever before. So, to anyone who has ever felt the sting of avoidance, do not mourn their absence. Celebrate your freedom. Celebrate your courage. Celebrate the fact that your love, your time, and your energy are sacred, and no one has the right to waste them. And for the one who realizes too late, they will feel the emptiness of what could have been. And that emptiness? It is the echo of your power, the mirror of your unshakable presence. And that, my friends, is the ultimate truth. When someone avoids, it's their loss. When you rise, it's your destiny. Rise. Step into your power. Walk boldly. And watch life reward you in ways that no avoidance, no fear, no hesitation could ever stop. Awareness is the first spark of true power. The moment when the fog lifts and you see life, not as it appears, but as it truly is. It is the doorway to understanding. The pivot point where you move from reaction to mastery. Most people live their entire lives on autopilot, reacting to circumstances, to people, to the tides of emotion without ever pausing to recognize the forces that shape their experiences. Awareness interrupts that autopilot. Awareness is the moment you realize that someone's avoidance is not about you. It is about them, about their fears, their limitations, their inability to show up fully in the moment. And once you see it, you can no longer ignore it. You can no longer deny the truth of what is happening. You begin to recognize the patterns, the subtle behaviors, the consistent withdrawals, the excuses, the ways in which avoidance quietly erodes connection. Awareness is not passive observation. It is an awakening of the senses, a sharpening of perception, a deep and unflinching acknowledgement of reality. The power of awareness lies in its ability to liberate you from illusions. When someone avoids intimacy, when they run from confrontation, when they fail to engage with the real heart of your presence, it can feel confusing, hurtful, and even devastating. Without awareness, it is easy to internalize their behavior, to blame yourself, to believe that something is wrong with you or that you are insufficient. Awareness stops this downward spiral. It allows you to see clearly that avoidance is a reflection of their inner state, not a measurement of your worth. When you understand this, you reclaim control over your emotional state, because you no longer allow their choices to define your value. You see the truth of the situation, and in seeing it, you gain the freedom to respond with wisdom instead of fear, with strength instead of desperation. Awareness also brings clarity to your own desires and boundaries. Too often people allow avoidance to continue because they do not fully understand what they want or what they will no longer tolerate. When awareness takes root, it illuminates what is essential, what is non-negotiable, and what must be protected at all costs. You begin to recognize that your time, your love, your energy, and your presence are not disposable commodities. They are sacred resources, and awareness teaches you to invest them wisely. It teaches you to see when a relationship is nurturing your growth and when it is draining it. Awareness allows you to make choices that align with your values. Instead of being trapped in cycles of frustration or longing, the moment of awareness can be uncomfortable, even painful. It requires courage to face the truth, to admit that someone who avoids you has already chosen a path that may exclude you. But it is this discomfort that signals growth. It is the fire that forges resilience, self-respect, and emotional maturity. Awareness does not merely identify problems, it illuminates possibilities. It shows you what you can control, what you cannot, and where your power truly resides. It allows you to step into your own life fully without waiting for someone else to catch up, without seeking validation from a person who refuses to engage, and without sacrificing your wholeness for the illusion of connection. When awareness awakens, you no longer live in denial or hope for change that may never come. You begin to see each interaction for what it is, a reflection, a mirror, a signal. You notice the moments of avoidance, the hesitation, the evasion, and you respond not with anger or fear, but with intentionality. You understand the value of your own presence, the sacredness of your energy, and the profound truth that no one can diminish you without your consent. Awareness is the lens through which life becomes clear, where the dynamics of avoidance are no longer mysterious or confusing, and where your choices are informed, deliberate, and aligned with the highest version of yourself. It is in this clarity, in this awakened vision, that you find strength. Awareness transforms suffering into insight, confusion into strategy, and loss into liberation. It gives you the courage to say no where necessary, to release what does not serve you, and to embrace what aligns with your purpose. It is not passive, it is active. Not silent, it speaks loudly in the choices you make. Awareness is the seed from which all personal power grows, and once it blooms, nothing can take it from you. Valuing yourself is not a luxury, it is a necessity. It is the foundation upon which all meaningful relationships, achievements, and personal fulfillment are built. Too often, people allow others' actions, opinions, or avoidance to dictate their sense of worth. They look outside themselves for validation, seeking approval, attention, or love from someone who may never truly see or honor them. But you value yourself, you create an unshakable inner compass, a steady source of confidence and clarity that is independent of anyone else's behavior. Valuing yourself begins with a simple but profound realization. Your life, your time, your energy, and your presence are inherently valuable. No one else can assign or diminish that value. They can only choose whether to recognize it. And when someone consistently avoids connection, their failure to honor your worth reflects only their limitations, not yours. Valuing yourself means understanding the sacredness of your presence. Every thought, every emotion, every action you take carries energy. When you offer your time, attention, and heart to someone, it is not a trivial gift, it is a sacred investment. People who avoid intimacy or responsibility are often blind to this truth. They treat your presence as expendable, taking it for granted, assuming it will always be there, and ignoring the depth of your contributions. When you value yourself, you no longer allow this. You recognize that your energy is finite, that it deserves reciprocity, and that it should never be wasted on someone unwilling to engage fully. Valuing yourself creates boundaries, not as a form of punishment, but as a declaration of your worth. It is saying, I know my value, and I will not compromise it for avoidance, fear, or neglect. Valuing yourself also cultivates self-respect, which is a cornerstone of emotional freedom. When someone avoids you, it can trigger feelings of rejection, doubt, and insecurity. These feelings are natural, but they do not define you. The moment you value yourself, you stop internalizing the avoidance as a reflection of your inadequacy. Instead, you see it clearly. Their inability to connect, to show up, or to meet you where you are is a reflection of their state, not your worth. This shift in perspective is transformative. It replaces self-doubt with clarity, fear with courage, and desperation with discernment. You begin to understand that your love, your loyalty, and your commitment are not bargaining chips to be negotiated. They are expressions of your inherent value. Valuing yourself also empowers you to make choices that align with your highest good. When you recognize your worth, you no longer chase someone who is unwilling or unable to engage. You do not waste your energy trying to coax validation from someone who refuses to offer it. Instead, you focus on relationships, opportunities, and environments that honor and elevate you. This is not selfishness, it is wisdom. When you value yourself, you become a magnet for people and experiences that reflect and amplify your energy. You attract connection that is mutual, love that is abundant, and respect that is unwavering. Furthermore, valuing yourself is an act of courage. It requires you to stand in your truth, to acknowledge your needs, desires, and boundaries, and to insist on being treated accordingly. It requires you to let go of those who cannot meet you where you are, even if it hurts temporarily. But this courage is liberating. It allows you to step fully into your power, to embrace your purpose, and to live without compromise. Valuing yourself transforms loss into growth, disappointment into clarity, and absence into empowerment. When you truly value yourself, you also model this standard for others. You teach people how to treat you, not through demands or ultimatums, but through the quiet, powerful demonstration of self-respect. You make it clear that your presence is not disposable, that your love is not negotiable, and that your energy is sacred. Those who choose to avoid this recognition will eventually face the consequences of their choice, while you continue to rise, thrive, and radiate the undeniable truth of your worth. Valuing yourself is not arrogance, it is awareness. It is not selfishness, it is stewardship of your life. It is the unwavering acknowledgement that you are not here to be diminished, overlooked, or taken for granted. It is the inner compass that guides you to the right relationships, the right opportunities, and the right version of your life. And when you embrace this truth fully, you become unstoppable, unshakable, and unapologetically radiant in your presence. Some connections in life are irreplaceable. They cannot be manufactured, duplicated, or replaced, no matter how many substitutes appear. These are the bonds that resonate at the deepest level of the heart, that echo in the soul, and that leave a lasting imprint on who we become. When someone avoids intimacy or emotional responsibility, they often fail to grasp this truth. They may take for granted the rare alignment of energies, the moments of vulnerability shared, or the unspoken understanding that makes a connection feel sacred. But once that connection is lost, it cannot be recreated. No one can step into the exact space you once held in someone's life, because the convergence of timing, presence, and shared experience is unique and irreversible. This is why awareness of what is truly valuable in relationships is so critical. It is a recognition that some losses are permanent, and that some absences cannot be filled by another. Irreplaceable connections are built on authenticity. They are forged in honesty, in courage, and in the willingness to be fully seen. When avoidance enters the equation, it fractures the foundation of trust and intimacy. The person who runs may believe they are protecting themselves, avoiding discomfort, or keeping control, but in reality, they are closing a door that can never reopen in the same way. Authentic connection is a delicate dance between openness and vulnerability, and once one participant consistently steps away, the rhythm is broken. You cannot recreate the exact moments, the shared laughter, the quiet understanding, or the energy exchange that once existed. Irreplaceable connections are unique fingerprints of the human heart. No one else can replicate the same emotional resonance, the same shared history, or the same unspoken understanding. Understanding the value of an irreplaceable connection is also a lesson in presence. Many people exist in relationships without truly being present. They go through the motions, assuming that time, proximity, or habit will sustain the bond. But true connection requires full attention, engagement, and care. When someone avoids, they miss the opportunity to participate fully in the sacred exchange, and in doing so, they forfeit something that cannot be regained. Life has a way of showing us that the people who consistently choose avoidance are also the ones who will eventually experience regret, but by then, the moment, the timing, and the unique connection may have passed. The universe does not replace what was once sacred. It only moves forward, teaching lessons through absence and consequence. Irreplaceable connections are also reflections of personal growth. They challenge you to rise to your best self, to expand your empathy, and to embrace vulnerability. They show you what it means to love fully, to trust, and to engage deeply. When someone avoids this depth, they not only fail to honor you, they fail to honor the opportunity to grow alongside you. The cost of avoidance is not just your absence. It is the lost potential, the unshared experiences, and the unspoken lessons that could have enriched both lives. Recognizing this truth empowers you to protect your own energy, your own heart, and your own presence. It reminds you that some connections are too rare to compromise, and that the loss, such a connection is a reflection of choices, not deficiencies. The power of an irreplaceable connection lies not in possession, but in recognition. You cannot force someone to value what they fail to see. You cannot manufacture gratitude, presence, or emotional courage. You can only honor what is real and sacred in your own life. When a connection is lost because of avoidance, it is not a measure of your worth, it is a measure of alignment. Your energy, your love, and your presence are irreplaceable. And those who fail to recognize this are the ones who must face the consequence of permanent absence. Ultimately, understanding the irreplaceable nature of certain connections transforms the way you engage with life. It teaches reverence for relationships, clarity in boundaries, and courage in letting go. It reminds you that your presence is not replaceable, that your energy is not expendable, and that your heart deserves reciprocity. The people who fail to meet you in this sacred space may leave, but the connection's imprint remains, etched into your growth, your wisdom, and your evolving understanding of what it truly means to be seen, honored, and cherished. Every choice carries a consequence, and avoidance is no exception. When someone consistently avoids connection, responsibility, or emotional engagement, they may believe they are escaping discomfort, conflict, or vulnerability. They may think that retreating, withdrawing, or evading allows them to maintain control, peace, or freedom, but the truth is far deeper and far more inescapable. Avoidance always comes with a cost, and that cost is rarely temporary. Life does not reward evasion, it reveals it. The consequences of avoidance are not only emotional, they ripple into relationships, opportunities, and the very trajectory of one's personal growth. When someone avoids, they may gain the illusion of safety in the short term, but in the long term, they face the undeniable truth of what their absence has cost them, and often it is too late to reclaim. Avoidance fractures trust, and trust is the cornerstone of any meaningful relationship. When someone consistently refuses to engage, to communicate, or to meet another person in authenticity, they create a gap that cannot easily be bridged. The person on the receiving end of avoidance feels the absence of acknowledgement, the lack of presence, and the quiet erosion of intimacy. Over time, this gap grows into an unspoken chasm. The consequences are not abstract. They manifest in the permanent loss of connection, in relationships that dissolve quietly, and in opportunities for love, collaboration, and mutual growth that are lost forever. Avoidance may feel safe in the moment, but it guarantees an emotional debt that the individual must eventually confront. Avoidance also stunts personal growth. Engaging with discomfort, facing difficult conversations, and embracing emotional responsibility are essential elements of maturity. When someone avoids, they deny themselves the opportunity to expand, to learn, and to evolve. They remain trapped in patterns of fear, hesitation, or control, unable to experience the richness of human connection. The consequence is a life that feels smaller, more limited, and more hollow than it could have been. Avoidance may provide temporary relief, but it simultaneously narrows the horizon of possibility. It denies the lessons that only vulnerability, confrontation, and authentic engagement can teach, and in the process, it deprives the individual of deeper self-awareness and emotional resilience. Time is perhaps the most unforgiving measure of the consequences of avoidance. While someone avoids, life moves forward. Opportunities come and go. People grow, priorities shift, and circumstances change. When avoiding, becomes a pattern. It creates permanent gaps that cannot be filled later. The moment when someone realizes what they have lost often comes after the other person has moved on, grown stronger, or chosen a path of self-respect and fulfillment. The cost is not abstract, it is tangible and irreversible. They may understand intellectually what was missed, but emotionally and experientially, the opportunity has vanished. Avoidance guarantees the eventual confrontation with loss, and that confrontation is always profound. Avoidance also communicates a subtle but powerful message that one does not value connection enough to face discomfort. This message carries consequences beyond the immediate relationship. It shapes reputation, affects future bonds, and influences how others perceive reliability, trustworthiness, and emotional courage. The ripple effect of avoidance can touch careers, friendships, and social networks, creating a pattern of missed opportunities and relational erosion. People learn from experience. When avoidance becomes apparent, it leaves a trail of diminished trust, skepticism, and guarded hearts that may no longer be open to engagement. Ultimately, the consequences of avoidance are permanent in ways that the avoidant person cannot always anticipate. They may gain temporary relief, but they lose the opportunity to grow, to love deeply, and to participate fully in the life of someone who values and respects them. The cost is measured not in moments of comfort, but in the absence of what could have been, the relationships unformed, the trust unbuilt, the intimacy unfelt. Life, in its divine justice, often places the avoidant face to face with these losses. They are forced to confront the truth that running may feel safe, but it always carries a price that cannot be reversed, only acknowledged. Loss is often misunderstood. We fear it, resist it, and try to avoid it at all costs, yet it is one of the most powerful catalysts for personal growth. When someone avoids connection, chooses escape over engagement, or fails to honor the sacredness of a relationship, the pain that follows is not simply suffering. It is an invitation. It is an invitation to look inward, to examine your values, your boundaries, your desires, and your capacity for resilience. Loss is not a punishment. It is a divine teacher. When a person realizes that someone has permanently stepped away, the initial reaction is often heartbreak, confusion, or anger. But beneath that emotional storm lies an unparalleled opportunity. The opportunity to grow stronger, wiser, and more aligned with your highest self. Personal growth through loss begins with awareness and acceptance. When someone avoids you, it can be tempting to cling, to negotiate, to hope for a return that may never come. But the moment you shift from attachment to acceptance, you begin to reclaim your power. Acceptance does not mean resignation. It means recognizing reality as it is, without distortion or denial. It is the first step toward transforming loss into growth. By fully acknowledging what has occurred, you can examine the lessons embedded in the experience, the ways in which you showed up, the patterns you observed, and the truths about human behavior that only clarity can reveal. Awareness transforms pain into insight, and insight is the soil in which personal growth takes root. Loss also teaches resilience. When someone leaves or avoids, it can shake the very foundation of your emotional world. But in facing that pain and continuing to move forward, you discover your capacity to endure, adapt, and thrive despite setbacks. Resilience is not simply surviving. It is learning to rise stronger, to honor your feelings without letting them define you, and to rebuild your inner sense of stability. Every heartbreak, every disappointment, every absence contains the seed of a deeper strength. It is in the crucible of loss that the human spirit is tempered, like steel forged in fire. The people who grow through loss do not emerge unscathed. They emerge empowered with a greater understanding of their own capacity for courage, self-reliance, and emotional mastery. Loss clarifies priorities and values. When someone avoids you, the absence they leave can illuminate what truly matters in your life. It forces you to confront questions you may have avoided. Who honors my presence? Who aligns with my energy? What boundaries am I unwilling to compromise? Loss strips away illusion, exposing the core of your needs and desires. It teaches discernment, the ability to recognize which relationships, opportunities, and commitments are worthy of your energy and which are not. In this sense, loss functions as a filter, separating what is essential from what is superficial and guiding you toward alignment with your authentic path. Loss also deepens empathy and compassion. Experiencing abandonment, avoidance, or absence allows you to connect with the struggles of others more profoundly. You begin to understand the universal nature of fear, insecurity, and avoidance, and you cultivate patience and understanding, not as a means of excusing poor behavior, but as a recognition of the shared human journey. Through loss, you learn to honor your own pain while simultaneously developing the capacity to honor others' journeys, creating a balanced emotional intelligence that enriches all your relationships. Finally, personal growth through loss reveals the strength of your own presence. When someone avoids you and you continue to move forward, you discover the unshakable truth of your worth. Your value does not diminish because someone else fails to recognize it. In fact, the loss often magnifies your understanding of your own importance. You learn to protect your energy, to invest in people and experiences that reflect reciprocity, and to embrace life fully without attachment to outcomes that are beyond your control. Loss, then, is not the end. It is a beginning. It is the teacher that demands attention, reflection, and action. It is the force that transforms heartbreak into wisdom, absence into clarity, and departure into empowerment. When approached with awareness, courage, and faith in your own worth, loss becomes the crucible in which your highest potential is forged. Empowerment begins the moment you learn to detach, not from life, not from love, but from the need for others to validate your worth or participate in your journey on their terms. Detachment is often misunderstood. People hear the word and assume it means coldness, indifference, or avoidance. But true detachment is the ultimate form of strength. It is not about withdrawing from life. It is about stepping fully into your power without being dependent on the approval, presence, or engagement of those who cannot or will not meet you in authenticity. When someone avoids you, when they run from connection, detachment becomes the tool through which you reclaim your energy, your focus, and your inner freedom. It allows you to stand tall, love fully, and exist unapologetically, independent of the limitations of others. Detachment empowers because it liberates. When you are emotionally tied to someone who avoids responsibility, avoids vulnerability, or avoids showing up, you give them control over your emotional state. Their absence becomes a lever, their avoidance a chain, and their choice is the measure of your worth. Detachment breaks that chain. It teaches you that your value is inherent, not contingent. You learn to invest your love, attention, and energy in alignment with those who honor I, rather than those who squander it. In this sense, detachment is not rejection. It is an embrace of your own sovereignty. It is the acknowledgement that your life is too precious to be diminished by the inconsistency, fear, or avoidance of another. The process of detachment is also a process of self-mastery. It requires awareness, courage, and clarity. Awareness allows you to see patterns of avoidance, to recognize when someone consistently withdraws, and to understand the reality of their choices. Courage allows you to accept the discomfort of letting go, knowing that attachment often prolongs suffering and limits growth. Clarity allows you to identify your boundaries and honor them, even when it means walking away from someone you care about. Together, these elements cultivate a deep sense of empowerment. You realize that detachment is not about losing someone, it is about gaining yourself. You reclaim your energy, your focus, and your peace. Detachment also fosters discernment. When you are detached, you are no longer blinded by hope, fear, or longing. You see relationships, opportunities, and experiences as they truly are. You no longer invest in what is not reciprocated, nor do you allow patterns of avoidance or neglect to dictate your life trajectory. Detachment sharpens your perception of what is valuable and what is not, what aligns with your purpose and what distracts from it. This clarity allows you to make intentional choices, to cultivate meaningful connections, and to prioritize what truly matters. In essence, detachment transforms the uncertainty and pain of avoidance into a guide for intelligent, empowered action. Furthermore, detachment amplifies self-respect. By refusing to remain emotionally entangled with someone who avoids responsibility or intimacy, you send a powerful message to yourself and to others about your worth. You demonstrate that your presence and energy are not commodities to be taken for granted. You communicate that reciprocity, engagement, and integrity are non-negotiable. This self-respect is magnetic. It draws the right people and opportunities into your life, while naturally creating distance from those who would diminish or ignore your value. Finally, detachment fosters emotional freedom and inner peace. When you are no longer dependent on someone else's choices, moods, or engagement, you liberate your mind and heart. You can love without attachment, give without expectation, and engage without compromise to your integrity. Detachment transforms avoidance from a source of suffering into a catalyst for empowerment. It teaches that the ultimate control lies not in changing others, but in mastering your own response, your own energy, and your own life. Through detachment, you step into a life of unshakable strength. You honor your value, protect your energy, and rise above the limitations of those who cannot meet you in authenticity. It is the quiet power that radiates from within, the unspoken force that ensures you will never be diminished by avoidance again. Detachment is not separation from life. It is your conscious choice to exist fully, powerfully, and freely, regardless of who chooses to stay or leave. Time is one of the most powerful teachers we have, yet it is often underestimated. We rush through life impatient for answers, frustrated by delays, and eager for instant results. But when it comes to relationships, especially with those who avoid connection, time reveals truths that no amount of persuasion, pleading, or control can uncover. Time has a way of exposing patterns, clarifying intentions, and revealing the consequences of avoidance. The person who consistently chooses to run or evade may not recognize the cost of their actions in the moment. But over time, the absence of engagement, intimacy, and reciprocity becomes undeniable. Life has a rhythm, and time is the instrument that plays its lessons, sometimes gentle, sometimes harsh, but always unavoidable. When someone avoids consistently, time is the mirror that reflects the reality of their choices. Initially, avoidance may appear inconsequential, like a small ripple in the flow of a relationship. But as days, weeks, months, and years pass, the patterns solidify, and the impact becomes clear. Time magnifies absence, highlights missed opportunities, and emphasizes the spaces left vacant by their unwillingness to engage. The individual who avoids may have believed that their temporary escape protected them from discomfort, vulnerability, or responsibility, but over time, the cumulative cost becomes apparent. They begin to notice the energy, love, and presence they once took for granted, and the permanence of loss settles in. The lessons of avoidance are rarely immediate, but time ensures they are inevitable. Time also teaches patience, perspective, and discernment for the one who is left behind. When someone avoids connection, it can provoke intense emotions, anger, sadness, confusion, but over time, these emotions evolve into clarity and wisdom. You begin to recognize patterns you may have ignored, understand dynamics you could not see in the moment, and identify the value of your own presence. Time allows for reflection and growth, transforming pain into insight. It teaches you that waiting for someone who is unwilling or unable to meet you is not a sign of loyalty, but of misplaced energy. Time empowers you to discern what is worth pursuing and what is worth releasing, helping you prioritize alignment, reciprocity, and respect over temporary hope or illusion. The passage of time also underscores the permanence of choices. The avoidant may one day realize what they lost, but by then, circumstances have shifted. Your energy, your focus, and your life have moved forward. Time ensures that opportunities are fleeting, and that absence carries consequences that cannot be undone. The one who avoids faces the stark reality that their inaction or withdrawal has shaped a future in which they no longer hold influence, presence, or access. Life does not pause for avoidance, and time does not wait for indecision. This is not punishment. It is the natural law of cause and effect, the divine principle that teaches accountability through experience. Time, furthermore, illuminates personal growth. The person who steps fully into their own life, who honors their boundaries, and who embraces detachment over desperation, grows stronger, wiser, and more resilient with each passing day. Every moment spent in alignment with self-respect, purpose, and authenticity compounds, like interest in a sacred account. Meanwhile, the avoidant person may remain stagnant, repeating patterns of fear, withdrawal, and evasion, unaware of the richness and fullness they are missing. Time highlights the disparity between those who embrace growth and those who evade it, reinforcing the truth that consequences are not immediate, but inevitable. Finally, time brings clarity to relationships and life itself. It allows both parties to see their paths with greater objectivity, to understand the true nature of connection, and to appreciate the value of presence, engagement, and love. Time teaches that while avoidance may offer temporary comfort, it cannot erase the impact of absence, nor can it replace the energy, loyalty, and love that have moved on. It teaches that life rewards those who engage fully, act with courage, and honor their own worth, while those who run from responsibility will eventually confront the cost of their choices. Time is patient, but it is relentless. It does not lie. It is not cheat. And it never misses an opportunity to teach the lessons that avoidance alone cannot reveal. Life operates according to a rhythm that is far greater than our immediate understanding. There is a timing to events, relationships, and opportunities that cannot be rushed, forced, or manipulated. This is what many call divine timing, a principle that ensures everything unfolds exactly as it should, even when we cannot see the pattern in the moment. When someone avoids connection or chooses escape over engagement, they may believe they are in control of their destiny. They may think that by avoiding discomfort, commitment, or responsibility, they are protecting themselves. Yet life, in its profound wisdom, has a way of restoring balance and revealing truth. There is an inherent justice in the universe, not punishment, but a natural consequence that ensures every choice, every act, and every avoidance carries meaning and eventual reckoning. Divine timing operates on a principle of alignment. What you invest in fully, authentically, and consciously aligns with your energy and your path. The moments of presence, the care, the love, and the commitment you offer are never wasted. They are seeds planted into the soil of your life, waiting for the perfect season to bear fruit. When someone avoids, they disrupt the rhythm of connection, but they cannot disrupt the universe's plan. They cannot alter the timing of growth, learning, or realization. Eventually, their avoidance meets the reality of their choice. The doors they closed, the opportunities they evaded, and the love they failed to nurture will return as lessons, reflection, or longing. Divine timing ensures that consequences are inevitable, and life moves in such a way that no act of avoidance goes unaddressed. There is a profound justice in this timing. It is not vengeance or cruelty, but the natural law of cause and effect. When someone repeatedly avoids intimacy or emotional responsibility, the universe allows them to experience the weight of that choice. Often they do not recognize what they have lost until the person they avoided has fully embraced their own worth, purpose, and life path. At that moment, they may realize too late the magnitude of what was once available to them. Life's justice ensures that lessons are felt personally, profoundly, and permanently. The absence they created becomes the teacher, showing them that avoidance may provide temporary relief, but it cannot erase the consequences of misconnection, lost trust, or unshared experiences. Divine timing also highlights the sacredness of your own presence. The moment someone avoids, it sets a boundary that allows you to step fully into your own life. Your energy, your love, and your engagement are too precious to be diminished by fear or evasion. The universe, in its wisdom, ensures that those who choose avoidance confront the cost of their actions, while those who honor themselves and their own path continue to grow, flourish, and attract the experiences and people aligned with their highest purpose. The timing of this growth is never accidental. It is deliberate, precise, and divinely orchestrated. Moreover, divine timing teaches patience, trust, and surrender. It reminds us that life unfolds in cycles, seasons, and patterns that are beyond our immediate control. When avoidance occurs, the appropriate response is not anger, desperation, or forced reconciliation. It is to honor your own path, continue to grow, and trust that the universe will reveal truth, justice, and alignment in the perfect time. The one who avoids cannot escape the mirror of their choices, and the universe ensures that balance is restored. In this way, divine timing transforms what feels like loss into a sacred lesson, what feels like absence into clarity, and what feels like rejection into empowerment. Ultimately, the principle of divine timing and life's justice shows that nothing is wasted, nothing is overlooked, and nothing goes unaccounted for. Every act of avoidance, every choice to run from connection, carries consequences that will unfold naturally and inevitably. And for those who honor themselves, embrace their worth, and move forward with courage, the universe conspires to place them in alignment with people, opportunities, and experiences that reflect their true value. Divine timing is both teacher and protector, guiding us toward growth, justice, and the perfect unfolding of life's intricate, sacred plan. Thank you for being present and embracing the power within you. Go forward boldly, live fully, and never forget your worth. Goodbye.